Welcome, everybody. Today we have a awesome guest. Her name is Hannah Acosta. Just a fair warning, I was really sleepy and I was forgetting names left and right in the beginning. But yeah, me and Hannah Acosta, we went into some good marketing stuff. We were actually chatting beforehand, and it was one of those I didn't want to be rude because we were just getting to know each other, chit chat. And at a certain point, I actually had to stop her and be like, okay, I actually need to hit the record button. And we were just mainly talking about social media trends, how like TikTok short form videos are here to stay, and it's a couple other things. And that's where then essentially we got talking about masterminds using social media, and that's about where we pick up when I'm recording. Yeah, so other than that, awesome gal, chock full of stuff for tips and tricks for Facebook marketing, ads in general. Just an awesome gal.
Welcome to the Josh Bolton Show, where we dive into interesting and inspiring conversations. And now, your host, Josh Bolton.
It's in notification too?
Yes.
Cool. I'm going to say some guys were like, we don't get it. I'm like, well, I don't know, man.
Yep, I just accepted.
But yeah, it was interesting with TikTok. That's where I'm like, oh, I'll do it. I did like the trend thing, and I'm like, I didn't really dance, but it was just one of those, no, me in front of it, no good. That though, and it was like, I even looked at the stats, like the average video, decent one is about 200. I was like, okay, that was about what I was averaging over 5 days with me. The freaking fish one was like 10,000. I'm like, there are not 10,000 people in the world that like that fish on TikTok.
And then it's like, apparently there are.
Right. And it's like, but yet I do it again and it flops again. So I'm like, it might've been that day or that minute. It just went with it.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, we'll never really know. Like, I love when I see ads or things that it's like the algorithm is changing and it likes this now. I'm like, nobody actually knows that, right? I feel like a lot of people get suckered into marketing schemes and mastermind groups and stuff because they think this person knows what the algorithm is doing. Like, not so much. Not so much.
I want to say, speaking of masterminds, I have a group call. It's more like we have this marketing. He's good. He's been in marketing for like 20 years for online. He doesn't even call it a mastermind or whatever. He's like, it's a group call kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's where one of his people, I guess he does a mastermind for $500 a month, once a week call. And you just get to, and it's like, I told him, okay, like $500, even for a business owner, that's a hard justification expense. I'm like, are they have unlimited email access to you? Can they are you pumping out content kind of thing? Or are you writing up stuff? He's like, nope, just a call. I'm like, on the live call with everyone, like, you're fucking scamming your people.
Yeah,
I'm like, dude,
crazy.
And he's like, it's a mastermind. They understand. I'm like, yeah, you're perpetuating the problem of sell a course at a high price. You get rich, then they sell a course, get a high price. And if you're doing affiliates, it's like pyramid scheme, you're a Ponzi scheme, dude.
Yeah.
On the call. And the funny thing is, he's like, emotionally distraught. This is right before Christmas. And he asked the leader, and he's like, yeah, you pay me, so I didn't want to say anything, but it is kind of scammy.
Oh gosh.
That's from like my uncanny ability to say what everyone's thinking.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's interesting when people create those groups and the perceived value, like ultimately, like they're able to do that because they've created this like perceived value of what it means to be in this group or what it means to be on that call and to invest in that. And they're going to give you these secrets that no one else is going to be able to give you. It's like, man, a lot of that is living out there for free. Or there are groups where there's, I'm in a couple of Facebook groups where it's like people are sharing what's working and what's not working, or giving feedback to each other on ad campaigns that they're running. And I'm like, man, there's so much value in that, and it's free. It requires a little bit more work on your end to contribute to the group. But it's free. So
like the only expense is your email if it's like a exclusive group, like a Telegram or whatever. But it's like small price to pay. You can set up a Google filter, anything fun, subscribe, throw it in trash.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that was just one of those recently, because for a while he would avoid me in the group chat, and that's where we were talking about social media. And the head guy of the group, he's recently gotten really into crypto and social media, and that's where we kind of politely told him, please stay in your lane. This is not what you know.
Oh gosh.
So I'm just curious, because a lot of people have been asking me to do Instagram. What are some insights you recommend, Hannah, for me to do?
Um, for Instagram specifically, I definitely think being active on Reels in some way, shape, or form
Reels, okay.
is really important. And I think people get nervous as a business owner, entrepreneur. They get really nervous about feeling like they have to get in front of the camera. But the reality is it doesn't have to be you in front of the camera. It can be someone who's on your team. It can be the fish, right? We were just talking about the fish
Right.
tank,
Yeah,
doing a reel
beforehand.
with the fish, like it in a reel, like that can be something that catches on like wildfire. It can be a slideshow that you've created that has text that pops up that gives someone some form of educational content. I mean, there's a variety of different ways that you can go about reels without being the person who's on the camera. And there are ways to be successful at that, especially if you go and look, if you just click on reels and you can tell what songs are trending, because in that bottom left-hand corner, there's like this little like arrow next to the sound and it's pointing up. That means that that sound is trending. And so that's one that you should use. And I know we were talking a little bit about the algorithm too, before we hit record today. And you know, the algorithm is always changing, right? And so the trending song today or this week, that might not be the flavor next week, right? And
Yeah.
so it's important to stay on top of it in a way that's realistic for you too. Like if it's not realistic for you to pump out a reel every single day, don't feel like you have to do that, right? Maybe set an attainable goal of, hey, I'm going to post one reel a week, or I'm going to challenge myself to create, you know, one reel with me in front of the camera this month. There are different ways that you can go about it and still be successful. So definitely on Instagram, I think Reels is the biggest thing. Of course, Reels was Instagram trying to react to TikTok, right? So you see a blend of things from TikTok that are cross-posted on Reels and TikTok. But I still think there's a lot of value in it.
Sorry, the dogs are going ballistic. Yeah, no, I
I know. I'm
agree.
like, I also have a dog, but he's napping right here. And so I'm like really hoping he stays napping the whole time.
Yeah, so I will be the annoying. I'm gonna probably yell at him in a second. Yeah, I listened to this podcast today in digital marketing, and that's one of them. He's saying in general, he's like, it's free. He's like, costs like 2 ads in the middle, kind of thing. And I'm like, for his insight and his knowledge, I'm like, deal. But that's the big one. He said he's like reels, even though he jokes like, what is Facebook stealing from TikTok today? And kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I've noticed too, like as a human, like my behavior, I don't really post like create a post on my feed anymore. I feel like I'm most active in stories. And so you have to think about your target audience too. Like, where are they spending the majority of their time? Like, are they opening up Instagram and just like clicking through stories all day long? Or are they actually scrolling? I feel like I just don't even scroll that much anymore
Right.
on Instagram unless it's going on reels or literally just clicking through stories. So I think that's also something important to decipher for anyone who's trying to get active on social and promote themselves or the brand or the business, is to think about like where on Instagram is their target audience or the people that they're trying to reach. Like, where are those people spending their time? Because that's where you also need to be spending your time
Right.
too.
No, 100%. That's kind of it was funny when oh, I forgot her name. Was it Ashley that reached out to me?
Oh, Ariel. Yeah.
Ariel. Dang, I was
Yeah.
close, been wrong. Um, when she reached out, and that's where she's like, I guess the head guy I interviewed. I'm
Yeah,
wow, names
Wayne.
like
Yeah.
names suck today.
It's okay. It's Friday.
There we go. We're gonna go with that. And she was
Yeah.
saying Wayne's not liking your social media, so pick Hannah's brain. And I'm like, oh, that's wait, he's been watching me? I didn't know that.
That's awesome.
But yeah,
So he actually like gave you feedback then.
yeah, he will through Ariel. She's like, yeah,
Yeah.
Wayne said we gotta line you up with Hannah. I'm like, that's so weird. Okay. Like, that's where I've been trying different things. I'm like, okay, do I do stories? That's been flopping. So I'm like, I do this. That's been flopping. I'm like, Hannah, what do I do?
Yeah, yeah. Got to figure out who those people are that you're trying to reach and go in. The other thing on Instagram too that I've been reading about a little bit in I'm reading Russell Brunson's book, not .com secrets, expert secrets. .com
Yes.
secrets is his other book. Maybe I'm like thinking about this with another book, but I'm going to give him the credit. He talks about, oh no, you know what it's from? Know What You're For by Jeff Henderson.
Oh, okay.
Jeff Henderson was a pastor at Gwinnett Church outside of Georgia, like massive, massive church. Before that, he worked for the Atlanta Braves and Chick-fil-A and marketing. And he talks about the power of like Instagram and going and like interacting with your prospective customers and prospective followers or people that you want to get in front of, like you going and interacting with them first instead of waiting on them to comment and like and follow all of your content, right? So commenting and interacting with something that they post or messaging them back on their story. It's amazing what that can do, because oftentimes businesses and marketers can sometimes treat social media like it's other marketing platforms. They forget the social aspect of things. They just
Right.
want to post it and they want people to react to it. Like they want people to drive by a billboard and be like, wow, yes, I need to call that number. Yeah, I do need to get my oil changed, or, but we forget that there's like an opportunity to build a relationship with social media. And that's the advantage to posting something on Facebook or posting something on Instagram versus putting up a billboard. Like now I have the ability to interact with somebody, or I can go and follow someone that I want to be my customer or someone that I want to follow my social media page or listen to my podcast. And I can go and I can talk to them first, right?
Go.
Yeah. I can go and comment and say, hey, yeah, this is really cool. I talked about this on my podcast. You should come and give it a listen, click the link in my bio and give a listen to this episode. I think we really forget to do that. It definitely requires more legwork on our end as the marketer or the business owner, but there could be really high returns on that.
Oh yeah. One of the podcasters I listened to, but also he took it from Gary Vaynerchuk, where he's like, he was on Twitter when Twitter wasn't even a thing. He's like, if you have a question, just literally tweet me and I will reply, kind of thing, with best of my abilities, 160 characters or less.
Yeah.
And now you can write a whole freaking novel in tweets. But
yeah.
But yeah, that was his thing. Is like, if you had a question, because he does dieting, how it works, just hit me up for free. That's all you want. And one of them's like, where did you get this idea? He's like, well, Gary Vaynerchuk, before he became the multimillionaire that he is, he just sat on Twitter, just replying to tweets. Even if it wasn't him, he would just reply to get his name known.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was like, oh man, that crazy Gary V does have a thing behind him.
Right. He is like a marketing guru. People do follow him and listen to him for some reason.
Right. Yeah. It's just, I was listening to him for a while, but then kind of like a lot of things, if they talk on a certain topic too long, it gets like, okay, he's repeating the drum kind of thing. It's like, all right, I get it. Get out there. Even if it looks like shit, just post it kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes when they stay on a topic for too long, it can feel like you just said the same thing, but like 5 different ways.
Seriously.
I got it after the 3rd time, but like we can pause now.
4th was interesting. 5 is like, we're done.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was the only thing with, cause like I used to actually, I wouldn't say sell, but I would get clients and I would teach them in martial arts. And my selling method was actually less aggressive, because my martial arts instructor was running around beating the floor like, look at me kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he would scare everyone off and he didn't know why. He's like, oh, they're weak. So I went with him once and I was just like, he went to hit and I'm like, hey, the person saw him like, hey, come here. I have a question for you. Now I'm realizing what I just did. It's been commenting on someone else's beforehand. Because then they're like, well, why are you wearing that fancy outfit? This and that. And then I'm like, hey, we have stuff in the corner. You want to go punch it free of charge? Yeah. I can show you how to do it so you don't break your wrist, kind of thing.
Very helpful.
Well, yeah. And then,
if that was me, I would have broken my wrist.
I've seen people, it is scary. They punch and then they're like this. And then this just goes flying out. Yeah. And we sit there and we're like,
yeah.
So No, that's where I showed them how, and they just let it out. And they're like, I had so like 3 months worth of stress. You helped me get it out. You fixed my pain. How much? And my martial arts instructor looked at me like, really? I'm like, you did this with me, man.
Yeah.
You saw me when I was 13. And you're like, hey, come here, just punch something with me. I'm like, you've just gotten really aggressive. But I'm like, now I realize what I just did. Okay, I guess I have to go hit up people on social media. But yeah, that was another one. So let's just say someone has like an accounting business. How would they do social media? Because that's a very boring topic in general, even for accountants, kind of thing.
Yes. Yes, totally. And we have clients at Ugly Mug Marketing where, you know, I might be working with a boutique and that might be someone that I'm really excited about. But then I also might work with a surgical specialist office and then also work with a bankruptcy attorney and accountant. It's hard to make those themes seem those. Oh my gosh. It's Friday, right? That's what we're leading on. It's Friday. It's Friday. We're good. We're rolling with it. It can be challenging to make those fields seem sexy and exciting, like accounting. And I think for an accountant, one of the things that I run, a campaign that I always run, a thing that I always post when we first start working with someone is a meet the team post. Because even if someone isn't going to be excited about accounting, they might get excited about the accountant because they are still a person, right? Or if it's a giant accounting firm, let's introduce the whole team over the course of the year, right? If we got 12 people on our team, that's one person per month that we can run that campaign for. And we can generate a lot of excitement just around that person or a lot of social proof too, right? As we run that campaign and introduce that person, we're not just going to say, oh, they went to such and such school and they have their CPA and they worked with X amount of hundreds of clients and managed this amount of money and stuff. You know, those are all things that we would expect, right? If I'm hiring an accounting firm, like those things should already be true. But it's the personal things, right? Like I'm a dog owner, or I'm a mom, or I am on an intramural hockey team, or, you know, all of these different things that are about me, which I'm not on a hockey team. My husband is, but you know, all of these different things that are going to attract someone to that person. Right. And maybe someone on my hockey team didn't know I was an accountant, but then they see this ad running and they're like, oh, actually I work for a company and I'm a small business owner and we've been looking for a new accountant. And I didn't know you did that. I would love to work with you. It opens up all these other avenues by just simply introducing the person as a human, right? And not as an accountant, and introducing the business from, again, a human perspective instead of we're an accounting firm. And that's the only exciting thing about this. It's like, no, you have all these remarkable people on your team who have all of these remarkable talents and experiences and things that make them unique and probably reasons why you hired them too, right? And so it's really important to highlight the human aspect of your business first. That's going to be the first step in making it feel more interesting. Then once you've hooked people in, you can throw out those fun did you know and educational accounting facts. And then as you build that trust and that relationship with someone over time over social, then you can hit them with that ad of, hey, we're looking for more clients, or hey, we want to help your business. You know, then you can hit them with the salesy content, right? The sales ad, trying to acquire them as a customer, maybe. You got to start with the human aspect first, though.
Well, 100%. One of the guests I had on the first time, he had a back surgery, so I got him on recently. He's airing this week, and he's Steve Sims, and one of them is his biggest sell. And he's like, it was not even my target audience. He's like, I went to a whole speech for accountants and they were hearing all this fancy software and this. And he's like, God, I was in the corner, like taking 2 shots of whiskey. Like, I can't handle this anymore. But when he got up, he's pretty much said, so has anyone told their clients that they're here studying to help them? And literally he's like, all these old dudes that look like they're about to have a heart attack. And did I just give them all that? Get up and look. And they're like, no, but it's our job. Why should they know what we do? And he's like, because it builds trust that, oh, I'm learning a new system, the rules, the standards for you.
Yeah.
And that's where he's like, well, and that's where one of them asked him, like, well, I'm not the most good looking person. How am I supposed to do a quick, because he was saying like do a quick 30-minute video and email it to everyone. He's like, don't know. He's like, no, don't talk about the conference. He's like, talk about the human, your hobbies, what you do when you're not looking at paper, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's what the humans want. That's what they're going to buy. They're not going to buy the whole looks. He's like, you're a very successful accountant and you don't look that good, but it doesn't matter because of your skills and you're human. And that's always kind of stuck with me. And this, especially getting this now, it's like, okay, stick like,
okay, that's true.
yeah, that's good. One of my first guests, I should contact him again. Hey, the reason he's successful and why people keep hitting him up is his story. Like he goes on shows that he thinks they can handle the accounting stuff, but he was telling me his story about how he grooms his employees. Well, groom in a good way.
Yeah.
But like, he's like, one of them, he's like, I didn't know it, but he's like, he's a bodybuilder. And he's like, yeah, he was fit and very healthy, but I didn't realize. So he's like, I started talking to him about bodybuilding. And he's like, I have no idea what he's talking about, but I nod and agree kind of thing. But I guess because of that, he started talking to his crew in the gym and he picked up extra people. I'm like, wow, it really is. It comes down to just the interaction.
Yeah, exactly. Having a willingness to do that, even like he didn't have to have that interaction with his employee, right? But then it opened a door. They built a deeper relationship too. That's so important. Not to get on a tangent of that, but like
right.
Employees or people that you interact with, even if it's someone that you sub workout to, or, for me, building a relationship with photographers that we partner with, that human interaction, knowing what's going on in their lives. And even with our clients too, we always say it's a lot harder to fire your friend than it is to fire a stranger. And so we want to be really intentional at Ugly Mug about building a relationship with our client, not just so they can't fire us, but but really, yeah, right. But really because we care about them. Like we know that they have other things going on in their lives outside of just answering my questions on if this graphic is approved or if this reel is approved to share on their social media. If I know that, hey, somebody's having a really hard week, they lost someone close to them or they have COVID, I know not to bug them. I can send them a little care package of some sort,
right.
to help them get through that time. That's really, really important and really valuable.
Yeah. I'm going to add to this tangent because that's been one of those I've been talking to a lot of guests about is I said, it seems lately corporate America has forgotten like the roots of who they are, why they're doing stuff. And now it's just transactions. You make me rich, I pay you pennies kind of thing. Yeah. And it's, I said, the whole human aspect's kind of just methodically been eroded away. And I'm like, I said, the Renaissance, I guess, is going to be going back to community and like helping each other. I said, this can be interesting with the Fortune 500. So I don't know if they're going to go to that yet, but in general, the Renaissance is going to be people are going to want to be treated like humans again. And I would say, especially with I don't think it's as bad as a problem everyone makes it, but like the Gen Z's just walking off. I'm like, they're the generations like they'll call you out. You're like, you're an asshole. I'm not going to work for you.
Yep. And that's why we're having the Great Resignation, they're calling it, right? Everyone leaving their jobs. They're like, they can find something better. They can work for a better boss. And that's why hiring is so hard too, right? People don't want to work or they don't want to work for you.
Yeah.
And so how do you care about your people and when you're recruiting, make it not so we're just saying we care about our people, but actually proving that too is important.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Especially with, like I've seen a lot of social media for like big companies. They're like, oh, we really care. And it's a full on ad. I'm like, you're paying for an ad to make it seem like you're giving, you're just forcing your agenda. That put an instant bad taste in my mouth kind of thing.
Yeah. One company that I see that's doing that. And I think they're generally like a heartwarming story. But is Chick-fil-A. I don't know if you've seen
they've been in some deep trouble lately.
Yeah, I haven't looked into the trouble that they're in, but I've just been really paying attention to their social media campaigns of people that they've hired, and then those people left and they went on to do really great things, but it's because of the experience that they had at Chick-fil-A. But then also they've got this whole other campaign that's happening on television too, and on streaming platforms where they're sharing these great stories of why Chick-fil-A is so great, or why they are helping foster community in their communities. And they're not just about having a line that's wrapped around 7 times so people can get their chicken nuggets, right? So it's interesting to observe some of those larger companies and seeing what they're trying to, maybe they are having bad press, and so they are trying to change the perception, both as a place to work for, but a place to support too as a consumer.
So I'm curious, as from a marketer point of view, is all press good press as long as they say your name correctly?
Oh gosh, I don't think I necessarily
Want
believe
to
in
answer
that. Yeah, I don't think that I agree with that. You know, for us at Ugly Mug, like if we got bad press, it might be somebody had a bad experience, or we didn't follow through, we didn't meet their goals, we didn't meet their expectation, and I wouldn't want someone going out and bad mouthing me or my company or anyone on my team for that matter. I'd rather them leave peacefully. We say, hey, this didn't work out. They know we gave it our all, no hard feelings. It just didn't work out and we part ways. I am not in the business of trying to trick someone to continue paying Ugly Mug marketing for months and months and months, and they're angry and we don't deliver, because that is going to get you the bad press, right?
Yeah.
But if I actually address the situation head on and there is no bad press, then I think I've won.
Definitely. I would say, especially in marketing, that it gets a little interesting. It's like, well, why does he have all this and then this? It's like, I don't know. How do I balance it, kind of thing? Wayne does a good job, and especially the whole crew. It's like, if there is one, it's like they had really unrealistic expectations and we couldn't hit it, kind of thing.
Yeah. And we really work hard to define what those expectations are before someone even signs a contract. And some people are so early in their business, or they're not the right person on the team who would be able to help us define what those goals are. And so it's really important in that kickoff meeting that we have with people, saying, okay, like, you want to grow this business by 60% in 1 month. Like, let's dial it down a notch. Like, let's get more realistic. This is probably what's going to happen. Like, here's where we can strive to get you by the end of 3 months. Is this something you want to continue to move forward with? That's going to be our goal. And making sure that we are implementing ways to track and measure that, so that we're being held accountable, right? Mm-hmm. And so that it's very clear at the end of, their contract or their trial or whatever it may be, for them to be able to say, yes, this is working, or no, it's not working, or yes, we're going in the right direction, we want to continue, or no, not for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. That makes, I want to say, for me, especially talking to Wade, I was like, where he was talking, he's masterful at going around the topic without offending anyone. I have to give him that credit. Because it was just how he was talking. I'm like, oh, like, he's had a few bad customers, kind of thing. But he painted it in such a good light. I'm like, I picked up on it, but probably most didn't. And yeah, I could see that, where it's like, hey, buddy, like, you want to grow your company 100% 1 year? Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be really hard, but we could do it. It's more realistic if you aim for 40 or 50% kind of thing.
Yes. Managing expectations is key, I think, in all aspects of life, right? Mm-hmm. Especially when you're a marketing agency and you're dealing with someone's livelihood. Like, for us, we work primarily with small business owners and entrepreneurs, and they could be investing their life savings. They could have withdrawn early from their, IRA or 401k in order to start this business. And mm-hmm. that feels really heavy, right? And so it's very important for us to manage their expectations and to be realistic about what we believe that we can accomplish. And given our track record and experience, what might be a little bit more of a stretch, and what just isn't realistic at all, if they need that reality check.
I would say a lot of people do need that reality check, though. So then, is there I'm just curious now. This is just me asking. Are there any crazy stories without giving the customer details away where they're like, we want 200% in a quarter? And you're like, no.
Um, I think my best examples of that would be clients where they had like an expectation in their head, but they didn't voice it. So it's like we had our kickoff meeting, we established these are our goals. And then as the months continue, we're proving to them that we're making steps in the right direction and that we are reaching those goals in some capacity. But then
Right.
maybe like 1 month they got like this like crazy number in their head. And maybe they talked about it internally. But we didn't ask the question. Like we take responsibility for that still, right? Then we should have asked. We should have said, hey, for this month, is there a new goal? Or hey, how are you feeling? Like we're checking in. Here's where we're seeing the revenue at. Is this still in alignment with where you guys want to go? Is there a new goal that you have in mind? And I think when someone's expectations weren't met is when we didn't ask those questions or they didn't communicate that to us. And they're like, man, we thought we were going to have $60,000 return on investment, or we thought we were going to make another $100,000 this month. And I'm like, time out. Like,
You didn't tell me that.
I'm like, let's look back at the month before this or the month before that. That would have been an X amount percentage of growth over last month or even over last year. We didn't prepare our strategy in such a way. We didn't contribute enough ad spend on Facebook or on Instagram in order to reach that goal. In order to reach that, here's what we would have had to do. If you want to try this next month, I'm more than happy to. That's when you have to be very tactful about how you address that conversation with the client, right? Because I don't want to be rude and disrespectful. Hey, if you're aiming for $100,000, let's shoot for that, right? But let's also be realistic about the track that we're currently on right now and what we would need to do in order to increase the amount of leads or increase the amount of conversions or sales on your website in order to make that happen.
Right. Seriously. So I'm curious because you just mentioned ads. That's what I was going to come up on is especially with iOS 14, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
15 now.
I would say
Can't even
15
keep
is going
up.
to be, I think 15 is going to mess up email marketing too.
Yes.
But so for the ads, now I know like it used to be you could get like a general cheap $5 for 1,000. Now it's like 10 or 15, depending on what you're doing. What is the best way to use ads on social media? Is it more like general concept or like, do you like this? Give me your email kind of thing and we can keep you updated?
Yeah. One thing I am really passionate about and have been honing in on over the last probably 3 years or so is lead generation on Facebook.
Okay.
So there are two different ways that you could do lead generation. We can run a traffic campaign or conversions campaign to try and get people to a website where they would fill out their form. They give me their name, their email address, their phone number, their age, zip code, whatever. And then there's another way to do it, which is actually using Facebook's lead generation tool and their form that is native to Facebook. And ultimately, Facebook's goal at the end of the day is to get people to spend more time on their platform, right? So they don't love it as much when we as marketers or business owners try to get people to become a lead or to convert by pushing them to our website because they want people to actually stay on Facebook longer. So when we test out doing, let's say we're trying to get someone to opt in to get a free ebook for a client, and we just need a name, an email address, and maybe a phone number in order to get that lead in and get them in our sales funnel. When I run that same exact campaign, pushing people to my website to fill out the form there versus filling out the lead form that is native to Facebook that I can somewhat customize and make it look my own and still get the same information, that cost per lead using Facebook's lead form is going to be significantly cheaper than if I push them to my website and try and get the conversion there. Now with iOS 14.5 and 15 and all of these new updates that are coming, especially with 14.5, our ability to track that person coming to our website and converting was somewhat diminished, right?
It really has.
We couldn't see, we used to be able to see every single person coming and converting to a lead on our website and be able to see those metrics in Facebook Ads Manager. 14.5 spirals out? Not so much, right? If somebody's opted out of tracking, they say, hey, I don't want Facebook to track me.
This is the annoying part for
I
me.
can't
Yeah.
I can't see that conversion, or I see it on the back end of my website, but I don't see it on Facebook, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even if they have said it's okay if Facebook tracks me, that information is aggregated and delayed. I'm not seeing it in quite as real time as I used to, and it's mixed in and mumble jumbled with everybody else's data. I don't know if that person filled it out right then and there today or filled it out last week. It's
Right.
coming in later. And that's really the biggest challenge. And so what we've seen as far as conversion ads go, and people trying to convert someone for a free ebook or actually make a purchase on a boutique website, the cost per conversion is much higher now.
Oh
much,
yeah.
much higher than it used to be. And it's strayed a lot of people from staying in the Facebook advertising game. That's not to say that you can't still be successful at conversion campaigns. Again, getting someone to fill out a simple form or getting people to add to cart and actually complete their purchase. It's just, there's a new challenge
There
for
is.
us, definitely.
Now, one of them, because I think it was March of 21 is when 14 launched itself. I
Yes.
think because I noticed I was doing great on my show and I could see just an upward trajectory. And suddenly on my data, it's like, you're dead. And I'm like, well, that's impossible. And then I noticed March on, I'm like, oh, there's no Apple at all. I'm like,
Yeah.
shoot. So even when I go into Apple, I'm like, there's no data here. I'm like, okay,
Yep.
I just
Yep.
have to ignore the number now.
Yep. I know. And all in the name of protection of the user, right?
Yeah.
And of course, we as marketers want that, but there's still this like, but I need that information in order to be successful and in order to see what's working and what's not working.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a new game out there in the digital marketing space, that's for sure. And I think people who maybe once were playing around with Facebook advertising or Instagram and then went away and now they're back post 14, iOS 14 update, they're like, wait a second, this isn't as great as it used to be, or what I was doing once before isn't working. And I'm like, yeah, it's likely not.
And
Or
probably won't.
yeah, and it probably won't. So, how are we going to pivot and adjust our strategies in such a way that we can still be successful? And the biggest thing with the pixel, right, and being able to track people converting on our websites is our audiences may have been cut in half. I mean, there's people who have had a Facebook pixel on their website that's collecting data of who's visiting their website and where they're navigating to on the website, that the second that person said, I do not want to be tracked by Facebook, they have a fraction of the amount of people in that Facebook pixel audience that they're able to target now. And that's why using lead generation is so powerful, because that's not a part of this data stuff,
Yeah, they're
right? So
voluntarily giving it to you.
they're voluntarily giving us that information. And so now I can create a custom audience in Facebook Ads Manager of people who've completed my form or people who started to fill out my form but didn't submit it. And more importantly, I now have that person's information that they voluntarily gave to me. They knew the terms and conditions of how I was going to use their data and information once they gave it to me. And now I can go and add those people to my email list, right? Or to an actual mailing list, or I can look at the zip codes of those people and maybe run a television ad in the zip code that they live in, whatever it may be. There's a lot of other information or ways that we can use that information now. And it's almost more beneficial in some ways, depending on the industry, that I have that person's name and maybe their zip code and their phone number, even more so than just having their IP address in a Facebook pixel custom audience.
That's true. Yeah. I would say that's now a question for me. How would we run a TV ad then? Because I know there's a whole song and dance to that.
Oh yeah. And that's certainly not something that I would call myself an expert in.
You know more than me.
Yeah, but I would say that I can't even think of an example of an industry off the top of my head, but like, let's say somebody has a business where they're targeting I'm going to use the state of North Carolina, the entire state of North Carolina. They've been targeting with their Facebook ads, and they've been running lead generation, generating all these leads, but they've never studied the data of who these people are. Like, is it mostly males or is it mostly females, or is it an equal blend of both?
Is it older
Are these
demographics
people,
or is it younger?
Yeah, are these people older or younger? Have we matched this list with a list that we've gotten from List USA or whatever the heck it's called, where we can pull people who live in those certain zip codes? Have we tried to send a mailer to them? Are they receptive to that? Are there certain regions or like a cluster of zip codes where we know a television station reaches those people? Maybe we need to be running TV ads and see how that goes, or streaming ads, which is just becoming increasingly more popular too.
Okay, just curious, side tangent. Is that like the Spotify and Pandora kind of thing?
Yeah. Or running ads on like Hulu or Peacock or, different streaming services like that.
Hulu or Peacock. I haven't thought about that.
Yeah.
Hell, I want to say they might be expensive, but hell, I'll do an experiment on that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So then I'm just curious, for the mailers, are you like have a bulk one, you print it with their name and all that, and you just send it? Or is it more like, I'm just thinking of this one guy I interviewed. He has a whole service where it looks like a handwritten letter, but it's written by a robot. And he's like the conversions with that, because they think you wrote it. And he showed me a letter. I'm like, oh God, I would never be able to write that pretty kind of thing.
Yeah. We talk about that all the time at Ugly Mug, about having lumpy personal mail. So the personal part of it is making it look like it's handwritten. So we have a client, Annie, who is a travel agent. And one of our most successful mailing campaigns was, we had Annie write on a sticky note, saw this destination and thought of you. Let's talk soon. XO Annie, or something like that.
Right.
And we copied that sticky note on, we literally had someone like handwrite. We hired like an intern to handwrite like 100 sticky notes that literally had that same message on it from Annie. And then we bought a bunch of National Geographic, a bunch of travel magazines, and we ripped out pages from those magazines, stuck the sticky note on there, and put it in the mail. Because they thought Annie really thought of them to go to that destination, or, hey, let's talk like about the Galapagos Islands or whatever. Like they were like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, yes, I would love to go here. And then the mail was also lumpy though, right? Because we folded it up all kind of weird, like a crumpled up picture from the magazine. And it made people curious about, well, what's inside of this? So maybe we didn't, for that one, I don't know if we stuck something else in there, but sometimes when we do a mailer, we'll stick like a pen or a magnet or a piece of candy or something, so that they're like, oh, what is this? There's something in there for me. It naturally sparks their curiosity, other than, oh, this is just another, it's got a printed label on it. Looks like it's from a company, right? There's probably nothing exciting. Like, they don't even open it, right? Or they open it and they take 2 seconds to look at it and they're like, yep, that's not for me. They throw it away. But if it's something that's personalized, looks handwritten, custom for them, and something that's lumpy that actually gets them to open it, those are going to be things that have way higher open rates. And then actually following up with them on that too is important. So, hey, did you see that magazine picture that I ripped out and sent to you? Like, I thought about you right away. Like, actually telling our client like to follow up, right? Or to task people on her team to follow up with the mailer. I think that's the second component of things, right? Don't just send one mail and expect people to take action. Like, there needs to be some sort of follow up with that too.
Yeah, they'll get that deep connection, like, oh, that person cares, but then we humans are intrinsically lazy. It's like, all right, next thing.
Yeah, exactly. Got to put the effort in. Right.
Yeah, that's funny. When I was younger doing the martial arts thing, my instructor printed these really high res like postcards with cool, like awesome scenic things. And it's like, look on the back for martial arts information kind of thing, if you want to be like this monk guy or whatever. And so I'd walk and hand it out. And but instead of doing it kind of like your lumpy fold, instead of just like laying it on the mailbox, whatever, I'd intentionally shove it in a window. So they had to go over and pick it up.
Yeah.
And it was kind of really lumpy, because some of them, like where I was really rich people, and they're like super fancy hunting, killing dogs. And I'm like, I would run up and I just like chuck it in the window, get it in and keep running as the dog's chasing me. But yeah, my instructor's like, dude, whatever you did, like they're coming. I'm like, I just like literally jammed it in the window. Unless it said no soliciting, I didn't go there. But I'm like, yeah, I found the most awkward spot to put it. So they had to put effort to get it.
Yeah. And they're like, wait, that doesn't go there. Like they'd expect to see it in the mailbox, right? But they're not
Right.
expecting it to be stuck in their window or in their front planter or hanging out of their fern on their front porch.
Exactly. I think I did that. So they didn't have a window in the front within sight view. I would just find a really fancy plant, just be like, and walk away.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, okay. So, okay. So I'm like running the list in my head. I'm like, okay, I know what I'm supposed to do. It's the lazy part. I don't want to do it.
I know I feel like what hinders a lot of us from doing most things in life, right? It requires this like extra energy. And we're like, I don't really know if I'm feeling that motivation today. Right. I don't know if I have that in me right now.
Yeah. So, I'm loving this. I don't want to take up too much of your time because I feel like we can go for at least 2-3 hours.
Yeah,
But
right.
I have a few going out questions for you.
Yeah, totally.
So other than work, what have you been doing to keep yourself busy during these COVID times?
Well, I feel like, well, I travel a lot, but mostly for work.
There we go.
So going back and forth between North Carolina and Louisiana.
Ooh.
So that keeps me pretty busy. My husband and I are both super active in our church and just volunteering and doing a lot of stuff there. So that's definitely been keeping me busy, even in the midst of COVID. And then we're huge foodies. So even if we have to go to a restaurant and wear a mask, like we're still doing it.
Right.
So we moved to Raleigh in October of 2020. And so it was like right in the midst of COVID, right? And so it was really hard to meet people, and you move somewhere, you have no idea what the rules are, right? It's like,
Right.
what's the news station here? Like, I have no idea, like, can I go on the government website and find out what the mandates are and all of that? So the way that we would go out and see the city was, just going out to eat and trying different restaurants. We love to do that. So that's mostly how I've been keeping myself busy during COVID. Still going out to eat, still traveling, which
Good.
makes it seem like I'm not sensitive to COVID. Definitely am.
Oh yeah. But I'm saying
But
we're at that point now where it's like we just got to take the extra precautions that we can, but we got to live our life.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Someone aspiring to be like you, any tips, tricks, or advice to start the path that you're on?
Oh gosh. Someone that's aspiring to be like me?
Yes.
Man, I feel like I don't think about that often. My dog doesn't agree with that either. He's gonna start barking now.
Dog's like, how dare you?
Yeah, he's like, woof. Gosh, I feel like take the time to surround yourself with people that you want to be like. People who are speaking life into you and people who really believe in you. I certainly would not be here today had it not been for the internship that I had during college and the way that people really believed in me during that season of life. And then when I came to Ugly Mug 4 years ago, Wayne has really pushed me to go far beyond anything that I imagined that I could do. Right. And I'm really stepping into this new season of time at Ugly Mug. You know, when I first started, I felt unqualified. I felt like I don't know anything about social media. I don't, compared to the next guy. Keep pressing into that. Keep pressing into being uncomfortable. I feel like that's such a cliche thing that people say now. Get comfortable being uncomfortable, but it's so true, and it makes it a lot easier when you have someone who's holding you accountable to that. And for me, that's Wayne, and honestly, everyone on our team. We're all constantly challenging each other, right, to get to the next thing, because we all can see that potential in one another, and we're all dreaming together. And you can't do that if you're not surrounding yourself with the right team or the right people. So definitely surround yourself with people who believe in you, who are going to challenge you, and even people who are maybe a step ahead of you too. Maybe they're in a season of doing something that you really want to do. And instead of being jealous, which I think is a tendency of ours as humans, lean into that, ask them questions, be curious about how they got there. Because they can help you by encouraging you, but also you can learn from the mistakes, right? That may be ways that they've stumbled so that you don't do that. There's a lot of beauty in that.
Oh, there is. That's the biggest one I've noticed, especially with this show, is it doesn't matter how busy they are. If you're willing to actually ask them a question, as humans, we will reply. Now,
Yes.
duration, that's up for a question, but
Yeah.
but yeah, that's the biggest one because this one very successful entrepreneur, he does a recycling business, has been since the 70s. So when the Kardashians were still in the Beverly Hills, he lives next to them. He had actually a more expensive house than them. So I'm like, what do you do that your house is more expensive than the
Then the
Hilton?
Kardashians.
Yeah, the Kardashians. Yeah. And he's like, oh, I do this, this, and this. And I'm like, and this is kind of when I started the show. So I'm like, well, explain this. Like, what does that mean? Kind of thing. Yeah. And that's where, because I asked him now, like I have his number and I can call him whenever, but he said, most people are scared to ask me that question because they see my success. I'm like, well, I just want to know what you did to afford a Bentley. That's your POS card kind of thing.
Yeah. I would love to have a Bentley.
Right. And that's his POS. I'm like, what? Like, what are you making? But, that's a huge one. So then where can everyone reach you when they're like, okay, actually you went, Hannah, you went, where can they get you?
Yeah. You can find me hanging out on LinkedIn. You can search me, Hannah Acosta. You can find me on Instagram too, at Hannah_Acosta12, or wait, no, I just got married. So I changed my last name.
Oh, there
on there. Yep. On there. It's Han Balliet. You can find me there on Instagram or just on the Ugly Mug Marketing website. Shoot us over a message. And it'll get to me some way, shape, or form. We can get connected there. So Instagram, LinkedIn, or the Ugly Mug Marketing website.
Perfect. Love it. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your insights and knowledge. It's much appreciated.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Well, congratulations. You made it to the end. You're an awesome person. Not many make it here. So, being the awesome person that you are, can you do me one more awesome favor? Can you rate and review this on whatever podcast services you're using? If you do it on Apple and you leave an actual written review, I have a thing on my website. I will take your written review and post it for all to see. Congratulations. You're permanently sealed on my site. Otherwise, I am trying to do YouTube more and live streaming. I will try to put as many of the YouTube links in the description of the show as I can. So give your boy some extra help over on YouTube. Watch my videos. I just mute it and change the channel, change the window or something. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for being awesome and see you next time.